me tell you something, folks. All you got to remember, God bless America, man. God bless America. How you doing it? It's Big Sills. 4th of July week. One of my favorite holidays of the year. You know why? Family, food, fireworks. That's why. No matter all the BS that's going on in the world, greatest country on the planet. Everybody gets to debate their bitches, likes, dislikes, get to watch sports, talk sports, pretty much get to do whatever you want. I love that. I love that. God bless America, baby. How you doing? Senor goes, because you put on your American Speedo on the 4th. Am I right, Sills? Absolutely not. Big Sills is freedom first and freedom always. 21 days from today is the start of Eagles and many NFL teams' training camps. Happy Monday to you guys. I appreciate you coming aboard. Do me a favor. Please hit the like button. This holiday week, more Americans are going to be traveling to loved ones and to destinations than any time in the last decade. I think that's awesome, man. I absolutely think that's awesome. Oh, by the way, I saw and I heard Xander and John McMullen. And then I heard that guy, Jeff Kerr, who I like, by the way. The Eagles are like the third story. Eagles are never the third story. They're never the third team. They may be a third conversation in a brief moment because the Sixers sign a 72-year-old Paul George who had a catastrophic leg injury a couple of years ago. And by the way, for the record, what did that guy do in Los Angeles? I must have missed it. All those banners hanging from the Staples Center. I must have missed it. So you signed an old guy who had a catastrophic knee injury. Okay. Daryl Morey. Hard at work again. You know who Daryl Morey is, the general manager of the Sixers? He's the king of his own kingdom and the master of nothing. I've never seen a more overrated general manager. I hear people going, he's a great GM. Great GMs do something. Howie's done something. Dave Dombrowski's done something. Shit, John Tortorella's done something. What exactly, again, has Daryl Morey done? I love the Maxey deal. All good. But how about this one? We'll move on from this, of course, because I'm not spending my day talking about a move that. Do you think that gets you into the Eastern Conference Finals? Or are you like the Dallas Cowboys, one and done? Does a Paul George move put you in the Eastern Conference Finals? I don't think it does. Oh, you're better than the Knicks. I don't know about that. I actually like that Knicks team. And for the record, I don't trust Embiid. He hasn't proven one thing to me, that he's a winner. He's a great player. You know what he is? He's a 7-foot. Let me make a comparison. I mean, he's a 7-foot James Harden. That's who he is. He's a 7-foot James Harden. That's how I look at him. I mean, okay. I mean, everybody's all excited. You sure spent a lot of money. But okay. Today is one of the greatest days in sports history. Today is Bobby Bonilla Day. For the next, let's see, until the year 2035, I think it is. This is so Mets. This is so New York Mets. They're paying a guy since 2011 $1.12 million because he deferred his money out, and he'll be 72 years old when that thing stops clicking into his bank account and he stops getting that direct deposits. What a deal, man. And the Mets are paying a guy who hasn't been on. Get this, Bobby Bonilla hasn't played a baseball inning for the Mets since 1999. Does that sound right? Hey, the amazing Mets. Whoo, baby. It is Bobby Bonilla Day. Holy, so between Daryl Morey and the Bobby Bonilla Day, and we are 21 days out to the start of training camp. That's a good way to get this bad puppy going. It absolutely is. Oh, and I do have to go here with this one. Do you guys know who Pat Tillman is? How many people in here know who Pat Tillman is? You know who Pat Tillman is? Former NFLer. Died in combat, albeit friendly fire. That's another show, another debate. Right? Was accidentally killed by his own people, but was deployed in Afghanistan. He's an American hero. And this is exactly why nobody watches the entertainment sports network any longer, or as I like to call it, the CNN of sports broadcasting, ESPN. So you're going to give the Pat Tillman Award that personifies bravery to Prince Harry? Does Prince Harry even know who Pat Tillman is? Does he even know what he represents? Because they dropped his ass in a helicopter and paraded it around like it was supposed to be something significant with his older brother, I'm supposed to believe that this guy's some hero? So at the ESPYs, they're going to be honoring Prince Harry with the Pat Tillman Award. I mean, someone help me here. This can't be real. An American war hero, after he saw the buildings fall, quit the NFL, who had just signed a 3-year contract extension with the Cardinals to enlist in the military, the Rangers. He was a friend of ours. Pat Tillman goes and enlists and goes on deployment to defend America, and they're going to give it. Put the mother is already saying it's a disgrace. Pat Tillman's mom. It's a disgrace. That's why nobody watches that woke ass network any longer. I mean, why? What's the point of that? What are you? I mean, what? Because he's friends with Oprah and his psycho wife? You're kidding, right? Dude, I don't give a shit about the Royals. Americans don't give a shit about those people. I only care about Americans. I care about American war heroes. I care about the soldiers that were killed in Afghanistan, those 13 men and women. That's who I care about. I care about Prince Harry. ESPN does? What a disgrace. It's totally why nobody watches that network. And I got to tell you, man, I got to hand it to Pat McAfee. He killed that network, and he's on that network. He's on that network, and he was killing them for it. Look at Dan, National Drama Show. This guy thinks it's cool that you honor a nobody with an American hero. It's just the fact that his name being next to Prince Harry's. It's what makes it disgraceful. It's not courage. It's a disgrace. It's a complete disgrace. You know why Americans watch the Royals and the royal family? Because we laugh at that. It's a symbolic gesture of a family. They don't even have any kind of power any longer. It's all parliament and shit. Got nothing to do with it. Holy cow. Yeah, I'm sure you just got in here, dude. I mean, hey, I'm boycotting the ESPYs. I'm not watching that shit. I'm you giving the Arthur Ashe Award out to people too. You know, like the swimmer from Penn, all that stupid shit. I'm not doing that, man. I do not watch ESPN. Only when they have football games on, college football, or they have like Monday Night Football. That's it. I don't watch any of that shit. I watch a little bit of Pat McAfee. Okay, I watch a little bit of that. I'm boycotting that shit. I have no interest. Okay, Harry had 6 silver spoons his entire life. Yeah, he was born on the same yacht that Jeffrey Lurie was born on. He was born on the same yacht that he was born on. All right. So DeVonta Smith had a great softball, game and shit. It's great. Gotta hand it to him, man. Answering all those questions, all the players that were out there having a good time. And here comes the quarterback. He's there playing, they're all charity softball. Was really great. Right? All awesome. Everybody's answering questions about the team, some of the little bit of the drama. And you know the only guy who doesn't say anything is Jalen Hurts. He could have just said this. You guys took it out of bounds. That's not what I meant. That's a you thing. You don't even have to expand on it. You had the avenue to be a dick to the Philly media by going, you took what I said and you made that out of it. Well, that's a you thing. Because that's not what I meant. He had an opportunity to address it with all the media people around and say, that's not what I meant. Okay? That's not what I meant. Everyone else addressed it. I thought DeVonta's answers and questions that were thrown at him were great. Darius Slay looks like the mouthpiece of the team now. And there's little old Jalen Hurts. Hey, this just in, Jalen. You might want to take a media class and how to answer questions, especially since you're the face of the franchise. You might want to maybe, I don't know, take some lessons on how to be a face of a franchise. Because I'll tell you what, you're not. And you don't act accordingly. Sileo, you asking him to lie? You want to call it lie? How about this? Tell them what they need to know. That's not what I meant. And I'm not going to quantify it by justifying it to you. Be a little more of a dick. It's okay. He had a chance to address it and erase it. He had a chance to walk it back. He wouldn't do it. This guy is not very good in front of a microphone. Jalen Hurts is like a shoe in personality. This guy has no personality. This guy has no way of vocally telling people that he's the leader of that team. Hey, in today's NFL, especially with social media, that's not good enough. You've got to portray yourself as a leader. You got to carry yourself as one. He doesn't. He doesn't carry it. He could have just shot that whole thing down. Another T-ball moment for Hurts, and he passed on it. It was a friendly event. It was everything. It was teed up for him. Why didn't you just go, hey, listen, my relationship with Nick is fantastic. We're all good. I love his new role. Everything is, there's no problems here. Nope. Holy cow. Hey, this just in, like I said, you might want to call Bob Lang, King Propaganda guy in Philly, head of the PR department, who had an awful off season. Hey, Bob, your group and your dudes has had a worst week next to the press corps over at the White House. I don't know who had a worse week, them or you. Holy cow. You don't have to be a jackass. But Jesus, prepare these guys. Dude, what a T-ball moment, too. You totally had a T-ball moment. Yeah, man, I'll tell you what. The offseason's been great. A lot of things that have been said around here have not been true. Everyone's on the same page. We're working hard. I look forward to training camp starting in 3 weeks. Nope, nothing. You keep it hanging out there for jackasses like me to keep swinging away and hitting them over the fence. I'm hitting shit over the fence. This guy's bunting and striking out. Holy cow. This guy's got the personality of a rock. Oh, man. You should be his translator, Sills. Jalen could bring you to the presses and piss off everyone. Must-see TV. Yeah, but you know what, Slagger? You know how I would piss everyone off? By telling them the truth. Hey, nothing's going on here. Everything's cool. Instead of saying shit like this, I don't know his job role. I don't know what's up. You'll have to ask him. I have no idea. You're sitting at a charity softball event. Softball's being thrown at him. I don't know. Oof. Hey, I'm sure they teach a class in communications over at Villanova, guy. You might want to take a class. I'll say this. If Hurts doesn't start the season off looking like an MVP, he's going to get raked over the coals. Yes, sir, baby. Hit the like button, my friend. Sills, if you say the truth, why backtrack what you say? I don't backtrack on anything I say. If somebody does something that I'm wrong on, that's called being wrong, Martin. You ever been wrong in your life? So wait a minute. This is what Martin calls backtracking. Hey, I said that Lamar Jackson back in about 5 years ago, I said he'd be out of the league because that game he played against the Chargers. Here. Let me show you this. This is what some of you dickheads think is backtracking. 5 years ago, I said, well, I don't see Lamar Jackson being anything. Absolutely not good. He wasn't good in that playoff game against the Chargers, and I don't see it. He turns out to win 2 MVPs in the last, 4 years, 5 years? That's called being wrong. That's not backtracking. That's called being wrong. So being wrong is backtracking? Okay, I'm wrong. I'm backtracking. Okay, I'm wrong. Just like you on Wentz. Wentz is a superstar. No, he wasn't. You backtracked. Like Nick Sirianni. He's a great coach. No, he's not. You backtracked. I never said that guy was a good coach. Like ever have I said that. How do you expect Jalen and this offense to start off like I've been together for 5 years? That's what is wrong with most fans. Forrest, they think they're going to be hitting the treadmill in week 1 against Green Bay. Green Bay's going to blow them out. They're going to blow them out. And I mean by blowout, 14 points, Green Bay wins that game. I don't believe that game's close in Sao Paulo. I think the Packers blow them out like by 14. New coordinators, new style of offense, new play callers. That's not going to be a seamless transition. Name me a place where you saw that, where a team goes on and wins a Super Bowl, where you change both coordinators and an offensive scheme. Name me one place. Can you name me one where you remember that happening, where a team won a Super Bowl doing that? Name me one. One Super Bowl champion team that changed the coordinators out and the offense out and the new defensive scheme that they're going to run, and they went on to win it. He says Gruden. Monty Kiffin was not changed out, dog. He was not changed out. Monty Kiffin was still there under John Gruden, the defensive coordinator. Kenny Foles, it could happen. Yeah, Leonard, I like it. Monty Kiffin didn't leave after John Gruden got the job from Tony Dungy. He remained intact. He did not leave that place. So Both coordinators were not changed out. Not true. And John Gruden brought in like 22, like Joe Jaravicius and a bunch of new dudes that he brought in. Coordinators were not changed out. The entire defensive coaching staff stayed intact too, by the way. How you doing? I disagree. The Eagles are winning by 3. Of course you are. Hurts won't be. Hey, Hurts can't. He's such a shitty leader. He really is. He's a shitty leader. Or no, I'll take that back. He's a shitty face of a franchise. I mean it. This guy gets teed up everywhere he goes to be an opportunity to show everything's cool in the locker room. Not him. He can't do it, man. He just can't. It's not in his deal. It's not in his DNA. That's not who that guy is. Sills, that's why we can't expect this team to just roll over teams. It's going to take some time to gel. Absolutely true, dude. There is no doubt about that. It's the gel. Get this, you changed your coordinators out last year, albeit lesser experienced guys, but you changed your guys out last year, you never gelled. How you doing? How you doing? Hey, look at here. Here's my boy, LJ. Calling him a Kobe Bryant. Oh, I think he's got a lot of Kobe Bryant mentality in him and his game and how he plays the game. Yeah. But as the face of a franchise, he's horrible. Hey, dude, there's more to just being the face of the franchise. There's a guy that's also a public leader. He ain't it. He ain't it. He's got a little bit of it in him. Yeah. He does. But when it comes to being the face of that franchise, he's pathetic. Seals woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Absolutely. I'm in a fabulous mood because this week's 4th of July week. Hey, try again. Okay. We haven't been running the 34. I could have swore that guy was in the building 2 years ago as a consultant to your football team, Vic Fangio. Try again. You guys think Lane Johnson are better faces for the franchise at the moment? Jalen might become that guy, but I haven't seen it yet. How come Sam sees it? Way to go, Sam. Sam, this guy's teed up at a softball event. He can't do it. He can't do it. He's a stoic leader. Yeah, he was so stoic when he was on the bench in the Bucs playoff game. He looked stoic there. You know what he looked like? A jerk. Stoic. That was stoic? That's stoic? I thought he was looking for his marbles. Stoic? What's next? Joe Biden stoic. Ross calling me, Stills Hurts was not prepared for how quickly the media can turn on you. That's because Bob, especially in Philly, didn't get this in Bama or OU. I prefer he learn the new O over dealing with the media. Yeah, but hey, it's very true. But here's why. Don't trust the media. Don't ever trust them. Does Sills have a right side of the bed? Big Sills has the entire bed. I own the bed. And you're in it. Hey. But again, so why in the world would you ever think you could trust the media? Because you think you can control the media. Like the PR department for the Eagles does. Xander will join us at 3:30. Gary Cobb at 4:30. You can't trust these people. They don't have your best interest at heart. And they'll turn on you. Hey, are you under the impression these people like you? If you stay too long, they turn you into a villain. If you give them too much, they'll use it against you. Like any marriage. Are you kidding me? You can't trust the media. Who in the world would ever think you got to trust these guys? Okay, who would ever think that? You know what you do? You treat the media like peasants. You treat the fans like equals. Fans and media are different. The media doesn't speak for the fans. They think they do, but they don't. You treat them folks like peasants. I'll tell you what I'm going to give you. You like it or not, I don't care. But then you know what they start writing about you? You're an asshole. You just got through saying it. And that's why Belichick has a poor relationship with the media. But Belichick doesn't have a poor relationship with the Patriot fan base. What would you rather have? I'd rather be revered by my fan base than by some dickhead named Dan Shaughnessy for the Boston Herald. Who cares what he thinks? Who cares? Seals, the PR department at NovaCare should tell Hurts to watch Bill Belichick pressers. Feed the media shit and move on. Bob, amen. Dude, get this. Hey, what's Nick Sirianni's role? You don't know it? Why should I tell you? Well, what do you think it is? I know what it is. I don't have to answer such a... That's like asking me, how long have you been a black quarterback? That stupid question Doug Williams was asked at the Super Bowl. There's certain questions that are dumb. What's Nick Sirianni's new role? You don't know it? I do. Well, what is it? Well, you should ask him. Coach and I are good. Don't tell him anything. At softball events like that, you make it lighter, of course. But if I were Jalen, I would have went, you guys are making more shit out of things that aren't there than I've ever seen before. This conversation had nothing to do with me. You made it about me. There's so many ways you could go with this. I would have fun with him, like Parcells used to with the New York media. I mean, really. He used to torture the New York media. Instead, you leave shit out there to hang. But again, that's a control thing that the PR department in Philadelphia makes because they trip over themselves. Hey, if there's anything we're watching right now being played out in front of us, when you try to control a narrative, what happens? It comes back to bite you. Does it not? When you try to control a narrative, eventually the truth is going to come out. And it's going to have to be a massive cleanup after the fact. Are we not witnessing this? Right? Instead of being transparent over there at NovaCare, all you have to do is just be honest. Bob, I love your takes today, Bob. You're killing it. Sills, once you start feeding the beast, they'll always look to get you. Absolutely, man. Okay? 1 minute, Sills says Hurts is a truth teller. Now he's a sorry leader. No. I said he's sorry at the mic. He's a sorry face of the franchise when it comes to the image of what you're trying to portray. Actually, they have nothing to do with his ability. And really, they're two different things. Hey, let me ask you something. How many times do you remember Brady in front of a microphone being asked 9 questions like that? How many times do you remember Brady answering questions that opened up any kind of criticism towards his head coach or any player on the team or anything, or questioning offenses? Even when he didn't like the Bruce Arians offense in Tampa. Right? LJ doesn't know. Once again, see, this is what sports, there's no take set in stone. He thinks there is. He thinks that sports athletes, if you make a comment about them, that should be set in stone. It's the biggest fucking stupidest comment you can make because athletes' careers go up and down. They change constantly. I'm not going to sit here and have a take 2 years ago on a player and think that applies now, because it doesn't. That is not true. Every athlete and their careers either go up or down or stay in the middle. There's no set take for professional sports. Nothing. That's right. Welcome to the NFL. How about this? Patriots are the greatest organization in pro football history. Are they really? Or was that the greatest run in the history of professional football? You think the Patriots are well run right now? Probably. The perception's not that, though. What happened? Players changed it. So should you still sit here and say the Patriots are the greatest run franchise in pro football today? Should you still say that? Or has that dynamic changed? New coach, no Brady. Has that changed? Or are they still the greatest franchise of all time? LJ would have you say you should stick with that. Sports changes. Players, coaches, ability, all that changes every year. That's a great one, William. Look at the Steelers. Steelers haven't had a losing season in 17 years, and Xander brings this up all the time now. So now the new benchmark in Pittsburgh is not having a losing season. I thought the benchmark in Pittsburgh was winning Super Bowls. How about you, James? James Jones, our DC guy, our Commanders guy. Hey, JM, you think the Washington Redskins are the same today as they were under Joe Gibbs and all those great coaches, Bobby Beathard? You think they're the same franchise today that they were then? Not even close? What happened? New faces, new players, new direction. Should you still hang with LJ's take? You made a comment about a team 10 years ago that they were great. Well, they're not great any longer. Well, they're still great. You look like a fool. Sports does not have one take that's set in stone. It doesn't have one. It's not a changing of opinion, guy. No, it actually is. It's a changing of an opinion. The opinion of the New England Patriots now has changed completely today than it was 5-6 years ago under Brady and Belichick. What changed? Well, no longer the players there. Organization's not run as well. They don't pick the same players that they did 7 years ago. So what happened? The dynamic of the Patriots has changed. But under LJ's take, they're still the greatest franchise of all time. Dude, you change daily? Sports changes daily. Sports changes daily, dude. An athlete's role changes on a team. So wait a minute, let me get this right. You think Paul George coming to the Sixers, does that change that he's now older? And Paul George, 5 years ago, was a better ball player than he is now? You're not talking about Paul George 5 years ago. But you're looking at Paul George of 5 years ago. James, the old guys that do sports talk, or the old guys who listen to sports talk, used to make predictions. Hey, and by the way, James, when I make a prediction, I tell you I'm making a prediction. Okay? And when I'm wrong on something, like I was with Lamar Jackson, like you were wrong on Wentz, we all know it. We all know it. Okay? Hey, get this. Remember last year when you guys were all starting to tell me, hey, Seals, you owe Jordan Davis an apology. I'm like this. Yeah, well, let's see how we play 17 ball games. Sills, this guy looks good. Well, let's see what he does after 17. Same old Jordan Davis. With get this, a better start to his season. Thank you, James. By the way, I think you guys are going to do some good things. Tomlin doesn't coach the offense. Hey, Forrest Hill, Mike Tomlin picked every single coach on that coaching staff. You know how I know that? 2 are ex-teammates of mine, and 2 of them are dear friends of mine. And you know what? They didn't have meetings with the GM. They didn't have meetings with the owner. They weren't handpicked by those guys. Mike Tomlin picked them. You know how Todd Monken got that job? We know Todd Monken. John Harbaugh called him up, and then they went to the owner and said, this is what I'd like to offer him. You know how Nick Sirianni hires somebody? Here's a piece of paper. Pick somebody off that sheet you like. He picked Matt Canada. He picked him. That's why he was held accountable. But at least he picked him. Hey, dude. Hey, Twiz. If I pick Matt Canada and Matt Canada runs my boat into the side of an iceberg, at least I picked it. I would hate to have my entire career dictated on somebody else doing shit for me. If I'm going to take the boat down, I'm taking the boat down, not someone else taking it down. Come on, man. Come on, Jalen. You had an opportunity, all teed up, ready to rock and roll. What happened? 4th of July week, too. Shit. I'm trying to give the guy a little bit of love here, too. Can't do it because you can't act accordingly. Okay? Look, get this. That's really got nothing to do with his play. But if he gets out slow, just like what Bob says, man, they're going to come after him. Hey, you want to see people? Hey, how about this one? Let's ask LJ this. How fast you think that Philadelphia media turns on Jalen Hurts if he gets out to a 1-3 start? What do you think? Hey, JM, Hurts gets out to a 1-3 start. How fast you think that Philly media turns on his ass? Okay? How fast? So you think Milton Williams gets 9 sacks? He's got goodwill. Yeah. What is that? He's got goodwill. He built up goodwill with the Philly media. He's got goodwill. Jalen has built up goodwill with the media. Hey, he's such a good guy. He's built up goodwill with a guy like Jeff McClain and them other guys. He built up goodwill. Yeah. Oh, my God. Hey, how many people think Jalen's built up goodwill if he gets out to a 1-4 start or a 1-3 start after going 1-7? That'll mean he's 2-10 over the last 10 games. How much goodwill will he get? He's got too much goodwill built up. Yeah, 2-10. That'll do it. He's built up too much goodwill. I'm going to play a game today. Hey, by the way, boy, I'll tell you what, man. One thing I got to teach my young guy, Xander Krause. When John McMullen and Jeff Kerr go knee deep into generational player that Micah Parsons isn't, Hoss, you need to step on their faces a little bit here. I mean, I wrote some names down, and I wrote some I'll show you what a generational player is. Okay? Let me do this here. I want to be as fair as I can here with Micah Parsons. Generational. We're not talking about just the guys playing today. Okay? He's saying generational Michael Parsons is. Like when you look at Michael Parsons, he changes the direction of a football game. Like when you watch a guy like it, here's the guys that changed the direction of a game. A Tyreek Hill, a Jefferson, an Aaron Donald, a Von Miller, a Lawrence Taylor, a Reggie, Jerry Rice, Brady. Those are generational players. All-time NFL sack leaders. And I wrote these names down, and I want to ask you something about Micah Parsons. And every time I hear John say that, Micah Parsons can't play the run. That's not a generational player. That's not a generational player. Generational players are like five-tool baseball players. They can do everything like Mays. Run, throw, catch, hit. All those guys. That's what you're talking about. Like a five-tool baseball player. Okay? Reggie White, Reggie's like one of those guys. Play the run. Can play inside. Can play the nose. You want to know what a generational football player is? Here's Reggie. Shit, you could have lined him up, standing up in today's outside linebackers and rushed him. A 300-pound guy at 6'6", you could have ran him off the corner the way you run Myles Garrett off the corner, and he would excel at that. Reggie White is one of the very few players you could play anywhere in the front seven. Probably playing him a tight end. That's a generational player, not a guy who can't play the run. Dude, Lane Johnson kills him. Trent Williams destroys him. It's not, hey, when you watch a guy get killed, so what is Lane? If Myles Garrett, or excuse me, Micah Parsons is a generational player, what's Lane? The best right tackle in the sport? He kills that guy. By the way, Lane's going to the Hall of Fame. Probably third ballot. Something in there. But he's going. Man, I don't get it. Now, let me throw these names at you. These are guys that I just wrote down. Now, John, I hear this comment by John all the time. It's a generational player. Okay, let's just take LT out of. I took linebackers, not guys like Reggie or Jack Youngblood or Deacon Jones, guys like that, because those are traditional defensive ends. This kid's not a traditional end. So I did more the linebacker guys blitzing from the outside and not like Max Crosby. I see you guys bring – Max is another great edge, and Nick Bosa too. Nick's more of a hand-down guy, and Micah Parsons is a hand-up guy. So I kind of looked at the hand-up guy. And I wrote down some of these names. And you tell me who you would take when it comes to generational player. Dude, do I even dare say Lawrence Taylor? Generational players, Lawrence Taylor. You can't just excuse him. Well, we won't mention him. Why? That's who all are gauged by. Dude, you're not even in the conversation talking about Micah Parsons and Lawrence Taylor. You think that guy's better than Derek Thomas? When you watch Derek Thomas play and rush the passer and play the run and run plays down from behind, do you see Micah Parsons and Derek Thomas? Do you see the same guy? I don't. I know and knew Derek Thomas. He's a South Florida kid. Played at Bama. Do you really think he's – I haven't even written this name. You think that guy's Cornelius Bennett? Man, Biscuit could play the run. I don't see that. Is Aaron Donald generational? Yeah. From a defensive tackle position in pass rushing? Absolutely. I still think that I have question marks on if he's a complete guy when it comes to playing the run because he does get blown off the ball a little bit. But he's so dynamic in pass rushing. You think that guy is better than Von Miller? Like, if you were redrafting everyone, would you draft Von Miller or Micah Parsons as a generational player? Our John McMullen and Jeff Kerr from CBS Sports saying he's general. Would you really take Parsons over Von Miller? I wouldn't. Would you take Micah Parsons over Ricky Jackson? What did Ricky Jackson end up in sacks in his career? He had 140 sacks. He had 140 sacks. That guy looks like he's going to get 140 sacks. And get this. This is an era they didn't throw the ball as much as they do today. I mean, you think this, here's Julius Peppers, had 161 sacks. When you look at Micah Parsons, you see Julius Peppers? Do you really? I mean, God almighty, I don't. Now, maybe I'm a little prejudiced because these guys were during my era. I don't see this. Here, you think this guy's in the same room with Pat Swilling? What did Pat have in sacks? Pat had 108. From 86 to 98, 12 years, he had 100. This guy averaged like 9 sacks a year in his entire career. Strahan's more of an end. That's why I didn't put him in there. How about this? Would you take Khalil? How about Khalil Mack's career? Let me do that. Khalil Mack statistics. So let's take a look at Khalil Mack's first 4 years, 3. How many years has how many years has Khalil Mack? I mean, how many years has what's his name been in the league? Micah Parsons, 3 going on 4. So here's Khalil Mack's first years: 15 sacks, 11 and 10. This last year he had 17. He's been in the league 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's been in the league 10 years. And last year he had 17 sacks. You see him? How about Charles Haley? No way. Charles Haley was a game wrecker. Would you take him over Myles Garrett at any time in his career? How about even Kevin Green? Kevin Green is 4th in sacks in pro football history. Did you know that? He was 4th all-time sack leader. Kevin Green, let me put it up here. Kevin Green is 4th in sacks with 165 sacks. Only Deacon Jones and Reggie White and Bruce Smith have more. You look at that guy and go, that guy's that guy? I mean, I just named 10 guys I know. And I didn't even name the best pass rushers. J.J. Watt, I put him more as a traditional force with his hand down like Deacon and Reggie. Reggie White and Bruce Smith are the greatest pass rushers with guys who put their hand in the dirt of all time. And I think the 2 greatest pass rushers of all time that stood up are Derek Thomas and Lawrence Taylor. Those are the 2 best pass rushers I've ever seen. That guys that changed the position. Lawrence Taylor changed the way you played the position of outside linebacker. Reggie, they created rules. Like Reggie White is like the Shaquille O'Neal of defensive ends. That's how dominant he was. Guys, I think you've forgotten what generation. Hey, I love John McMullen. He does a spectacular job on this network. But I think John has forgotten what generational impact looks like. You had one in Philly, and there was one in New York. Those two guys, that's generational. Jerry Rice is generational. Nobody's ever going to get 200 touchdowns, even in today's era. That's not happening. Look at how many yards a Tyreek Hill gets every year. What's he getting touchdowns? 6. Rice had 19, 20, 18. This guy had 200 touchdowns, averaging 4 catches over 20 years. Think of that. He touched the ball 4 times, unlike running backs, and has the most touchdowns of any non-quarterback position of anybody in the league. That's generational. That's a generational football player. Those are the people we're talking about. Again, my assessment of Parsons. He's good at everything. He's not exceptional at anything. Is he a great pass cover guy? No. He's good. Is he a great pass rusher? No, because he's not consistent. Here's the thing that you game plan with Parsons. Lawrence Taylor, when you game planned him, you did this at any moment. Get this. The only person Randy Cross told me that Bill Walsh used to put on the board when it came to game planning in the Giants was number 56. He goes, 56 is here. And when he goes across over here, we got to keep an eye on him, Joe. I would audible out of that on wide side of the field. He would write 56 over here. He was the only guy that Bill Walsh would put on the board and identified him and says, you have to know where 56 is. I'll tell you another guy who's generational is Ed Reed. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick made a statement. They were doing that top 100 players. You have to know where Ed Reed is at all time. You have to know where 20 is. You had to know where he was because he could make a game play on you at any moment and change the game around. You had to know where he is. Again, my friend, M. Sip, Dawkins is great. He's no Ed Reed. Okay? He's no Ed Reed. Reed's better than Lott. Lott was not a traditional safety. He came into the league first as a corner out of Southern Cal. Troy Polamalu's fine ball player. These guys are not Ed Reed. They're just not Ed Reed, man. There's certain guys, and I'm not being biased with Ed when I say, even Peyton Manning says, the guy was a savant, and he can play, and he was spectacular on special teams. What about Terrell Owens being generational? I think Terrell Owens got hosed because he never had a quarterback for an extended period of time that could turn him into a generational player. I think he was a sensational talent that didn't have the quarterback. Like, hey, Philly, I'll make a comparison on Terrell Owens. Terrell Owens is a big mouth Larry Fitzgerald. Larry never really had, outside of Kurt Warner. I mean, Carson Palmer was okay. Jake Plummer was okay. But those guys weren't generational quarterbacks. JM goes, Deion's the best corner of all time. Yeah, but you know one thing I always had a bitch about Deion? Guy couldn't crack an egg. He wasn't all around. Sensational cover corner. And sensational in special teams. Okay? I would make the comparison. T.O. was kind of like a Larry Fitzgerald. Larry Fitzgerald's a phenomenal Hall of Fame football player. T.O. was a physical specimen. He absolutely was. But generational? Name me one game that you remember that he took over that won you a significant ball game. He was great in the Super Bowl. He was. Wright said 200 yards in the Super Bowl. and was the Super Bowl most valuable player in that game in Miami when they came back when Montana drove him with 2 minutes left. Imagine this. Joe Montana doesn't win the most valuable player award in that game because you know why? Rice was so dominant. And he crushed the Bengals in that game. He was so dominant. He had 197 yards receiving. He didn't even make the game winner. John Taylor made the game winner. Montana was excellent in that game. Then again, Joe was excellent in all them games. Never threw a pick. They were stupid good. Moss was generational? Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, Moss did one thing, Norman, that always, I thought, crippled him. If the play wasn't his side, he took the play off. And he wasn't a very good decoy. So his team suffered on the other side when somebody was going to try to get the ball in and hurt the game plan of the Vikings. He did a better job of that when he got to New England. But if the play wasn't coming play side to him, he wasn't very good at it. Barry Sanders, generational? Yes. Yes. The modern-day Gale Sayers is Barry Sanders. Modern-day Gale Sayers. In college, he had 2,800 rushing yards. Imagine that. 28 rushing yards. And because he was such a phenomenal team guy, you know where he won the Heisman? He was in Japan. And he didn't want to leave his team because they were in some sort of bowl game. And he didn't go to the downtown athletic club because Barry Sanders didn't want to leave his Oklahoma State football team. And you got to remember something. His first couple of years, he was playing behind Thurman Thomas. They had Thurman Thomas and him in the backfield at Oklahoma State. I mean, that's like insane. And Barry Sanders is one of the best teammates I've ever had. I've never seen anybody like it. Genuine, just absolutely a great. LaDainian Tomlinson, phenomenal player. Generational? No. I saw Bo go into the Royals Hall of Fame. How about this, Charlie? Bo Jackson is a generational talent that we'll never see in the history of American sports ever again. You'll never see anything like him. You'll never see anything like Bo Jackson, ever. It's unfortunate that he'll never be in the Pro Football or Baseball Hall of Fame because he's worthy of both, but he just didn't play long enough. And when he got hurt in that Cincinnati playoff game with the Raiders, that was the end of it. You will never see. There's been no talent at running back ever that looks like him. I've never seen anything like it, and I've seen some of the greatest running backs, Eric Dickerson, Walter Payton. Bo Jackson was stupid. I mean, I played against him his freshman year at Auburn when I was at Maryland. We went up there. I've never seen a guy that fast, that big, at 240 pounds. He gets out in the perimeter. He ran 4 flats, 3 nines. Insanity. Dan, you are generational because of your work ethic and genuine talk working on the toughest sports market. Is Big Bill generational? Big Bill! He's working on it. By the way, my friend, you know what I love to do? You know what I'd like to do? I like to see everybody that's young and up and coming take their shot and take their 3 swings. I'm all for it, man. There's a lot of room for everybody. You don't have to be a jackass in this industry here. Don't forget, Xander's going to join us. We're going to do something here in a minute because I'm not taking a break. I like the fact we're getting out this 4th of July week this way. And I love talking about generational football players. And when, again, no disrespect. I'm not trying to diss John here, but man, I've seen too many. I've known too many. I've been around too many. Where when you walk in the room with Jerry Rice, that is something that you're like, or how about this? When you meet Jim Brown back in the day, and you were talking to Jim Brown, that's the people I talk to. Guys like that. Big Seal's got a picture of him sacking Montana. When you're playing against people like Peyton, and you see these guys, and then you see Michael Parsons, I get offended by that because I've seen generational. I know what it looks like. I've been on the field with it. I've been in a huddle with it. Dude, when you get into a huddle with Randy White, okay, and you're in the huddle with Randy White, and you're there, I got a picture of me and Ed Jones and Randy White. I'm here at minicamp. Derek Thomas, please like and subscribe. Phenomenal, man. What a ball player. When you're in the huddle with Randy White and you see Randy and you're talking to him, just being around him, you see the little things that you didn't even know what you were talking about or knew, and you just watched it the way he just alignment-wise. First, second down, he'd line closer up to the ball. Third down, he'd get a little bit more because he wanted more space to do more moves because of the traffic inside and how much traffic that you had to deal with the center and the guard tackle. He wanted a little more space to operate, so he'd back up. First and second, he'd scoot up a little, move over on the 3, slide it to a 1, especially if it was going to be a weak side. And you're watching this guy do this, and you're like, I didn't know any of that. You pick these little nuances of the game up. Just being around him and watching him. We're talking with Howie Long. And Howie, hey, let me tell you something. You go to a camp, like I said, Jerome, this guy here. So I go up to Philly. What do you guys call that thing? The flats? Am I right? The plateau, the flats, whatever it was. You guys had a camp there. And Reggie was there with Clyde Simmons, and they were putting this camp on. And I'm sitting there. I'm there, and I think Hardy Nickerson's with me from the Bucks. I think we had Hardy Nickerson, and he had just coming over from the Steelers, I think. And I think we had a couple other guys from the Bucks that came up, and we went to this thing. Is that what it's called? It's called the Flats? Like something. They had a camp there. I'm watching Reggie talk to these young kids, and you're just listening to him talk and how he looks at the defensive line position. I walk up to him. I go, hey, that hump move. He goes, you got to get it. You have to throw your hip into it. I never could get it down. Now, the guy was 6'6". That's why. This guy's teaching the hump move to young high school prospects when most pros can't even do that. Incredible. Reggie White was so complex, but my God. You know, the first time I met him, a lot of those Hall of Famers comes from the USFL. Disciple, absolutely. You know when the first time I met him, Disciple, was my freshman year. We played a bowl game against Tennessee, and he was on that Tennessee team that beat us. Boomer Esiason was the quarterback of that Maryland team that I was on. We had won the ACC, and we've got a chance to play in the Citrus Bowl. And Reggie's team played in that game. I think they finished second in the Southeastern Conference. So we played them. They beat us by 7 or what have you. But you know what they did? They opened up it was the first year of EdCop. They opened up Disney, and we hung around with the Tennessee guys. And I got a chance to hang around with, you guys know Charles Davis, the broadcaster? He was on that team. Me and him have been friends ever since. And I got a chance to hang around. That's where I met Reggie. I didn't meet Reggie through Jerome. I met Reggie through the Citrus Bowl. When we played at the Citrus Bowl in '83. What a great ball player, man. I'm going to do something here before we get Xander on at the bottom of the hour here. I've been saying something. I have a vintage Jerome Brown jersey from 1989. Whew. Good for you, Nick. Old Kelly Green, or was it a white one? Which one? Seals, unfortunately, over time, meanings of words change. So they can use to include things that are close to generational. It's one of those words. Hey, word one. I got it, Bob. You're right. The word generational seems to be, or like when you're using the word elite, there's one elite quarterback in this sport. He's a guy in Kansas City. There's no elite club. Everyone's elite that won a Super Bowl. That's the elite club. If you're going to here, you know what? You want to know what an elite quarterback is in this league? If you have a Super Bowl ring and you're going to the Hall of Fame. Because if you just have one or the other, doesn't quite make you elite, does it? But if you've got both, a Super Bowl ring and a Hall of Fame ring, you're elite. Dan Marino's not elite. Elite talent, but he's not elite. He's not in that group. Super Bowl ring, Hall of Fame ring. You're elite for what your team needed. Warren Moon, amazing player and one of my dearest friends. He's not an elite guy. He's not an elite guy. I mean, until you win them and get them both, you could be an elite talent, get to the NFL. Sales, dead serious. I still can't grasp 2024 Norman Brayman let Reggie White talk. I just still can't get over it. I think it had a lot to do with Reggie's religion, and I always thought Norman thought he was anti-Semitic. Reggie may have said some things that floated on that line. Reggie didn't have a hateful bone in his body. Like this, I've tried talking to Norman about that. Norman thought his best days were behind him, thought he was. Joe Flacco's not getting a Hall of Fame ring. He's not getting a Hall of Fame ring. And nor is Brad Johnson. Hey, yeah, Sip. I tried talking to Norman. Norman's still alive down in Miami. Brayman Auto. Love the guy. But, I tried telling him numerous times. That guy didn't have a hateful bone in his body. His religious convictions kind of sometimes jade the vocabulary that he had and how he expressed himself. He was just different, man. Reggie's just a different dude. All right. You guys think you're a better talent than the Dallas Cowboys? I heard the guys talking on Birds 365 this morning that you are better, have a better roster than the Cowboys. You think you guys have a better roster than the Cowboys? Twist says absolutely. Hell yeah. Okay. Well, let's match that up. Let's see how many advantages you have over this Cowboy roster on offense and defense and coaching. Okay? Then we'll add it up. Where do you want to start first, offense or defense? Where do you want to start first? Offense or defense? We're gonna line up advantages. Okay? On offense and defense, and at the end of the day, we'll add it up right now, as Lane Johnson says, on paper. Start on defense. Offense. What do you think we should do here, Xander? You make the call here. You want to do offense or defense first? Where the Eagles have the advantage over the Dallas Cowboys. As Lane Johnson says, on paper. Okay? Xander says, I'm going to go with O. Lamb will request a trade if he doesn't get $32 million. All right. So let's start it here with the offense. And I'm going to go Philly. I haven't done this yet. Dallas? Let's do this. Quarterback. Who has the advantage? By the way, he's 9-4. Dak is versus the Eagles. And he finished second in the MVP. Sam goes, Jalen's gone further. I'll take Jalen. You mean the team's gone further? Okay. Played good in the Super Bowl, too. Being fair here. See, I think Dallas has the advantage at quarterback. Head-to-head matchups, I'll take Dak. Record proves it. I think it's close. He's got more skill as a thrower, passer, for sure. Led the NFL in touchdown passes last year. And 9-4 versus the Eagles in his career. I mean, right? And you got one more win than him in the playoffs than Dak does. Dak's got 2, you got 3. And by the way, this is head-to-head matchup. Head-to-head matchup. We're comparing the teams. Now, I'll tell you something that I will say. Over a season, and I would make this comment to you. Jalen has a chance this year to right the ship, too. You kind of know who Dak is. I still want to see where he is. If Jalen Hurts comes back and looks like 22 in a better version of the 23 offense, and he's putting numbers up in 24, the 2023 season will be excused. Philly goes, Dak has 9 years. Well, that's why I say he's better. He's got more of a litmus test over that time. He's put up great numbers. As a matter of fact, over the last 50 games, he's given you Patrick Mahomes regular season football. Gatson says Jalen will get a ring. Well, wake me up when that happens. So Dallas gets the advantage in my book. Running back. Let's go here. Running back. Zeke versus Barkley. I don't think this is close. I think this is Philadelphia. I think Zeke Elliott's a relic. I think he's a relic. Sip goes, I agree with that, Sills. Upcoming season will answer a boatload of questions for Jalen Hurts. Absolutely. Absolutely. Dude, Jalen can erase the entire 23 season with a great performance this coming year. No doubt about it. How about this? Dak doesn't have much room to move. Jalen has a ton of room to move. Fair? Okay. Wide receiver. And I get slot versus on the numbers. However, the biggest playmaker on the team is CeeDee Lamb versus A.J. Brown. Sorry. Philly has the advantage here. A.J., in my opinion, is a bigger game wrecker and a bigger game star than CeeDee. I don't think CeeDee's bad, but if you're going to tell me, Sills, who you drafting, A.J. Brown or CeeDee Lamb? I'm going CeeDee Lamb. Or excuse me, I'm going A.J. Brown. So Eagles get the advantage at wide receiver. 1. Wide receiver 2. Brandon Cooks versus DeVonta Smith. I'm not sure that's a debate. Philadelphia. It's 4-1 so far. Okay? Jalen Tolbert, wide receiver versus Paris Campbell. How about we do a push here? How about we do a push? Because you really don't do anything with the position, and Dallas doesn't either. So wide receiver 3, can we do push? They both suck, and nobody uses them. Push. Okay. Here's an interesting one. Tight end. Jake Ferguson, Dallas Goedert. I think Dallas has the advantage here. 71 catches, over 780 yards last year. He's consistently getting better. He's always on the field for Dallas. He's good in the run game. Okay, I'm going to take Jake Ferguson here. Left tackle. Tyler Guyton versus Jordan Mailata. I don't believe that's close. I think that's Philly. Left guard, Tyler Smith. I believe that's the Cowboys. Tyler Smith is better than Landon Dickerson, but it's this close. He's the best guard in the league. Bob goes, wait a minute, Sills. You said Goddard was a top 5 tight end. Yeah, he is when you play. Got to be on the field, Bob. Center. I'm going to put the rookie for the Cowboys in here. Cooper Beebe versus Cam Jurgens. I'm going Cam Jurgens. I don't think that's close. We'll see what that kid looks like. Right guard, Zach Martin, Cowboys all day. Right tackle. Lane, all day long. So, the offense, let's see here. Yeah, Lane gets that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So it comes down to Philly had 7 pluses on offense. Cowboys had 4. Let's do the defense now. Dude, Dallas has got 2 premium offensive linemen on their team. That doesn't mean you don't have a better group than Dallas, because I don't think their right tackle and their left tackle are in the room with Mailata and Lane. As a group, you're better. You're top 3. But you still have to go. Tyler Smith is the best guard in the game. He's rated that. And Zach's a Hall of Famer. Okay, here's your defense. DeMarcus Lawrence versus Milton Williams. That's the Cowboys. Lawrence is better than Milton Williams. Not that Williams is bad. Chauncey Golston versus Jordan Davis. That's a push. Jordan Davis was a worthless human being in the second half of the season. Golston and that front 4 got ran over too. Okay, they got ran over in Buffalo, Arizona, the Niners. Hoss, Philly, I'm just going to take what Brian Baldinger said. Brian Baldinger said that Jordan Davis shouldn't have been in uniform the last 7 weeks of the season. Okay? He said that too. So I'm going to go push here. Right tackle, because I'm putting these guys in a 43. Ozzie versus Jalen Carter. I'm going Jalen Carter. Micah Parsons versus Josh Sweat. Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I'm going Parsons. Right? Parsons here. Damon Clark versus Bryce Huff. Who do you got here? Bryce Huff has never started a down in the National Football League. Damon Clark, Will linebacker, versus Bryce Huff, Philly. Huff? I'll go Philly. Eric Kendricks, inside linebacker. Devin White. I'll take Kendricks. Cowboys. Marist versus Nolan Smith. Take the Cowboys. Now we get to the secondary. Deron Bland versus Quinyon Mitchell. Cowboys. Guy hasn't played it down. Donovan Wilson, safety, versus Gardner Johnson. Look at Joseph. How could you take Mitchell over a first-team All-Pro who's never played? Honestly. How could you do that? I get Gardner Johnson. Malik Hooker versus Reed Blankenship. Hooker, Cowboys. Trayvon Diggs versus Slay. Diggs. So, comes out 7-4 on defense, Cowboys. Let's do coaching. Mike McCarthy, OC head coach over Nick. No brainer. Mike. Mike Zimmer and Vic. I think that's a push. I think both guys are really good. Cut from the same thing. One guy's got a Super Bowl ring, the other guy doesn't. Okay? So, you were 7-4 offense and 4-7 defense. That's closer than you think, isn't it? Especially when you line some of these people up here. And some of the lack of experience. Now, look, do I think that Mitchell or someone can be better than Deron Bland by the end of the year? Absolutely. But if you're going to put Isaiah Rodgers out there, who hasn't played in a year, if you're going to put Quinyon Mitchell, who's never played a pro down in his life, or if you're even going to put Keely Ringo, who's never had significant playing time, versus a first-team All-Pro, even though I think those 7 touchdowns or 6 touchdowns he had on returns kind of jaded the voting for him, I do. He's still better than what you have. Now, who's got more upside? Absolutely, Philly does. Again, like the quarterback conversation, it's not really a rip on Jalen. Jalen's been too up and down. Dak is, we know who Dak is. Like, Dak's not going to be a 5,500-yard passer, all of a sudden turn himself into Joe Montana or Tom Brady. That's who that guy is. I'm waiting to see who Jalen turns himself into. 22, 23, 21. Who? You still don't know that yet. You're assuming that. You don't have to assume who Dak is. You know what he is. He's consistently going to put you up big numbers. He's consistently going to challenge the Eagles. And he does. And he has. And he's won. It's not, again, remember my conversation, how it started. I matched the Cowboys up versus Philly. I didn't say how they're going to do this year, what record they're going to have. I went talent for talent. This has nothing to do with who's going to beat San Francisco or Detroit or Green Bay. Has nothing to do with that. That's not what the exercise was. So I'm not moving the goalpost here. Who's the better talent at the position versus your guy? Everyone assumes the Eagles are so far ahead of the – I did too. that I did too. Until I really looked at it and went back and forth and said, well, Dallas clearly has the advantage on defense. Why? And I even questioned myself, and I go, well, why would I say that? Well, there's so many unknowns over there in Philly's side. Did Jalen make the Pro Bowl last year? I think he did. I think Dak, if I'm not mistaken, I think Dak was either second or third team All-Pro last year. Dak led the NFL. Remember something, finished second in the MVP voting. Seals, if you go back to your companions and give them a spread, 1 is a slight gap and 5 is a huge gap. Philly wins. Our advantages are greater than their advantages. Your wide receiver advantages are sensational. They have you on edge rushers. Dallas has better edge rushers than you. More experienced and more established. Mike says Cowboys depth is trash. Like yours is great, especially in the front 7. Shit, if anything, your linebacking core, like we said last week, might not be all that bad because they're all kind of the same dude. Running back is a big significant difference. Absolutely. Dude, Rico Baldwin and Zeke, give me a break. You know what I'm saying? Give me a break. All right. Don't forget at 4:30.